It's time to review an obscure Famicom game once again. Now this game was based off the TV show that aired in Japan, similar to Power Rangers. Now when I was young, I did watch some Power Rangers, but I was never a big fan of it, especially around the new millennium. However, you don't need to like Power Rangers to play this game. The game is your average run-of-the-mill side-scroller where all you do is go through each level, kill enemies, get to the boss, beat it, and do the same thing. And honestly, that's literally the entire game in a nutshell. There's no diversity from this routine and there's not enough action to make things intense. When you start out, you get to choose a level along with selecting your choice of ranger. Your main objective is to take out enemies in your way until you get to this area where the boss will appear and you'll transform for battle. Every level in this game is the same routine, but with different environments and music. The enemies you face are bugs, frogs, turrets, rockets, and these running guys that will charge towards you with nothing at their disposal. In case you're wondering, yes, this was developed by Natsume, so it definitely explained the similarities of these runners of Shatterhand. Some of them actually have a gun they use to shoot at you the moment they appear on screen. In any case, all of these enemies are very easy to take out, depending on which ranger you play as. In my opinion, there are at least 3 useful rangers. The red and black rangers are equipped with swords. The pink and blue rangers have these guns that shoot out falcons. Literally, they shoot falcons. Just think of how many of these poor birds are killed in the process. Anyways, the yellow ranger attacks with some short blade that's pretty swift. The difference between all of them is how much damage these weapons inflict, as well as their health bar. For the ones with the swords and the yellow ranger, it only takes 2 hits to take out the running guys and can practically kill everything else with 1 hit. While those with the gun, it takes 3 hits to kill the running guys and 2 or more shots to kill everything else. And it takes quite a while to get through a level with either of them. So unless you want a challenge of some sorts, I suggest taking the red or black ranger. The yellow one is pretty good, but you'll have to get up close to the enemies for the kill, resulting at times getting hit by them. No matter which ranger you play as, you are able to kick up, which inflicts the same damage as the sabers do. You also have these falcon icons that allow you to use a special ability to wipe out all enemies on the screen whenever you're in a bind. But once you use it, you can't do it again unless you collect another one from the enemies. Once you get through the short pacings, you'll encounter a boss and your character will transform into a huge cybertech fighting machine with this cutscene showing the transformation, similar to Transformers. From there you enter the fight and you have to get the boss health bar down to nothing to win, but it's not as easy as the platformer segments. If you go in with no brains and all bronze, you're gonna get your ass handed to you. You'll have to be smart in your attacks as well as study the pattern of these bosses, and not everyone attacks the same way. They could push you to the far left and deal damage to you in order to prevent you from attacking. You can't run in this form, which sucks because you walk like you're freaking constipated. Below your health bar is a power gauge that you can use to inflict heavy damage on the boss, depending on where the meter is at. It charges while you fight, likewise with the boss. When the boss gets to a certain point on its meter and readies to attack, put up your arm because that's the only way you can defend yourself. The bosses can be a tad bit tricky to defeat at first, but once you've nailed their patterns down, you won't have much trouble until you come up to the final boss, whom you can only fight after conquering all 5 stages, and this red stinger is a huge bitch. After you completed a level, you'll earn a password and choose your next location, but if you fail to beat any of these bosses, you'll be sent back to the stage select screen and have to do it all over again, which isn't too bad given the difficulty of this game, which by the way, both easy and normal mode are the same goddamn thing. There's practically no changes between them. Not even the boss fights feel different. The only difference is that the gray guys can shoot twice in a row before pausing, and that's literally the only change there is. So the game is still a breeze regardless. Being that Natsume made Shatterhand, Shadow of the Ninja, Power Blades 1 and 2, Final Mission, and Abadox, I expected much more from them than 2 difficulties with no alterations whatsoever. They should have been called very easy, and I'm not even fucking trying anymore easy. Also, aside from the boss fights, there's no other diversity at all. Every level is the same thing. There's no car crashes, no secret passages, no new enemies, no sub-battles, no environment hazards, no tricky obstacles. Nothing. It's just run through, get to the boss, and repeat. It can get repetitive as well since there's nothing else to distract you. However, to my surprise, there are 2 modes you can unlock with a code. After you view the credits, notice at the bottom of the Angelsoft logo that reads Title A plus B plus Start. You input that at the title screen, and when you do, the modes change to hard and very hard. What are these mysteriously curious modes, you ask? It's easy in normal mode. Yeah, the same damn thing. No extra enemies, no unexpected surprises, nothing. What a twist. Way to strengthen the momentum, Natsume. Well done. However, there is a critical difference. In both of these modes, you start out with 1 health point. No matter who you play as, you get hit once, you die. So you basically turned it into a one-hit game with the code. Another difference is that none of the enemies you kill in either of these modes will drop health for you to collect. What you're given is what you only get, and thank God they still drop these falcon icons, otherwise you'd be fucked. Believe me when I say that I've beaten both of these modes legitimately, and there's nothing different about the pacing of the levels, and the boss battles don't feel like they've been altered in any way. You still have your health bar full, and I can't imagine beating any of these guys without sustaining damage. The final boss doesn't feel modified either, but he's still frustrating to take down. Another small difference is that you don't get a password after you've completed a level, but these stages are painfully easy to beat that you never needed a password system to begin with, and the endings don't differ either. It's all the same. Plus, once you know what to do and how careful you need to be, you can actually beat all 4 modes in like an hour or less. The only other thing the game has is a battle mode, as it's nothing more than a trial run of fighting all the bosses, except the last one. You're not fighting for a high score or anything like that. All you get is this weird ass thing that you wouldn't be sure how to describe. Is it a dog-like thing? A Nintendo mascot reject? A wackadoodle? I just can't understand how these Japanese minds function creatively. The graphics are splendid, but that's no surprise from Natsume. They've added just as much detail and effort with the graphics here as they did with their other games. Although in Jetman, it's not as superb, but it still qualifies for a nomination of some kind. Also, the cutscenes are pretty cool too, but then again there's very few of them, and just watching the transformation of your bot for the boss battles can get monotonous, but at least you are able to skip them. The controls are very easy to learn as far as the side-scrolling segments are concerned. It's your basic A and B formula along with pressing up and B to kick, although sometimes you could risk getting hit yourself if you don't use it accurately enough, or as stylish like I did. Look, you can see here that I'm just showing off right now. Also, being that it's a Natsume game, would you ever expect to pause by pressing select? It's kind of weird. None of their other games had that, and the start button uses that falcon ability you have stored. For the boss fights, the controls are a bit clunky and sluggish. When you tap the attack button, you don't get as much jabs as you would expect, and sometimes when you're up close to the boss, you won't be able to strike at all. To defend, you have to press down on the D-pad, but you can still receive a bit of damage. Once again, to execute your special attacks, you have to press start. Being that you move so slowly, you'll often find yourself jumping over to punch these guys, but jumping is not always a good idea. The controls may be confusing at first, but as you advance, you'll adjust to them. The soundtrack is pretty nice. I'm not sure if they're rendition themes from the TV series, but the tunes are pretty cool on their own as well as the sound effects, which some do sound like you've heard from other Natsume games. While Jetman is the weakest in the line of action games Natsume made for the NES, it's still a good choice for anyone that's starting to play 8-bit games. If you're looking for something to challenge your instincts, I suggest skipping this game. Even with the 2 extra modes, it's still pretty easy to beat. I wish they added more variety to this game and worked more on the levels of difficulty, along with giving us some turns and twists. Although this game isn't enough to beat me to a bloody pulp like Shatterhand, Shadow of the Ninja, and Abadox, it's still at least good. Thanks for watching. I'm Riley Sky. See you later.